The creatures waiting to hatch from these strange eggs are not what people expect. Peeking into a bird's nest and seeing a few delicate eggs nestled peacefully in the brittle twigs is always a special sight. You know that tiny embryos growing inside will soon crack their way through the shells and take their first peek at the world around them. The miracle of life, no matter what the species, is jaw-droppingly awesome. Finding bird eggs is pretty common if you live in a place where nests are abundant, but there are tons of other less common animals that scatter their eggs as well. It doesn't matter whether the offspring inside are slimy, fluffy, or scaly, every egg bears the world's greatest gift, life itself. But you can't guess what's hiding inside just by looking at these weird and bizarre eggs. Number 1. Scientists discovered many of these corkscrews washed up on shores, which led them to believe they were some kind of plant, but they were wrong. You better believe there's an animal forming inside. When those black corkscrews finally open up, horn sharks emerge. The shape of the egg ensures when the mother shark is gone, she can tightly screw it into a small crevice and keep it from drifting away. Number 2. If you happen to be wandering around the swamplands of Florida and come across a nest of these elongated eggs, you'd be wise to turn and bolt in the opposite direction. You don't want to run into their mother. Because inside are baby crocodiles. One of the most fascinating things about the eggs is the gender of the babies is dependent on temperature. Eggs birthed in water under 80 degrees Fahrenheit almost always result in females. Above 80 breeds males. Number 3. This would be quite a vibrant sight to come across in nature, don't you think? Some scientists have referred to these as the fanciest eggs in the wild, but what exactly pops out once they're ready to hatch? Blue chickens? Not exactly. Inside you'll find birds, but they're not chickens. They're called Venomous, and they mostly reside in tropical regions to avoid ever having to migrate. Birdwatchers everywhere would have a field day inspecting these fowls. Number 4. That coin lying next to this batch of eggs is to indicate just how small they are. You might not even see them if you were walking quickly. However, the animals who grow inside end up large and in charge. They're monitor lizards, the biggest of which is the almighty Komodo dragon. These scaly hissing beasts can grow up to 10 feet in length, which is impressive considering they start out in eggs smaller than a nickel. Number 5. You can find bundles of these eggs buried in sandy beach holes hidden from predators. Be careful if you spot some though, you wouldn't want to accidentally disturb them. Once they hatch, the animals inside make a fast break for the tide. The tenacious little creatures that eventually burst through are sea turtles. Even though these animals live in the water, the adults lay their eggs on land and hope as many of their babies as possible make the trek into the ocean. Number 6. This cluster of spiked spheres looks like they could be underwater mines waiting to detonate at your slightest touch. Rest assured there's no explosive material inside, but what is inside might irritate your nostrils. They're stink bugs. These smelly and pervasive little insects can be found in most gardens throughout the United States. Due to their foul odor, they have few enemies, so once the warm weather rolls around, don't be surprised if they start making frequent appearances. Number 7. Well, we're all taught in school that mammals don't lay eggs. There is one exception. Can you guess what it might be? Here are 2 hints. They come from the land down under, and they've got bills. They're platypuses, of course. There aren't many of them left today, but they're still just as unique looking. They might come from eggs, but they're all mammals once they hatch. Number 8. At first glance, you look at these and think these are definitely bird eggs. However, even though they look like what our winged buddies lay, the animals inside actually have no ability to soar through the sky. Inside are a species of marsupial known as an echidna. The tiny pink earthworm-like babies that initially hatch grow into small spiked creatures closely resembling porcupines. Number 9. Unless you're in Africa or parts of Asia, you won't run into an egg that looks like this. That's a good thing because the animal inside is something you never want to encounter. It's one of the deadliest snakes known to man, the cobra. Because they're decked out with venomous fangs, an amazing sense of smell, and night vision, you better be careful if you see those oblong eggs. Number 10. If you're ever walking through the forest and you come across a pile of these small translucent eggs, the creature that laid them probably isn't far off. So what exactly is it? The answer might make your skin crawl. Those clear eggs give life to millipedes. It would take nerves of steel to see one of these crawling around your home and not completely freak out. Interestingly, millipedes have been around longer than any reptile, bird, or mammal. As we've seen, strange animals don't always come from strange eggs, but sometimes they do. We bet you haven't heard of all these strange creatures before.